Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Breck Maxon here with the Native American Development Center. This morning, we're going to be spotlighting one of our strategic partners, the North Dakota Small Business Development Center. And with us today, we have Mr. Tyler DeMars, Project Director of the Bismarck office. And we're going to let him talk a little bit about the services that his office provides out here in North Dakota. And with that, welcome, Tyler. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Breck. Thank you for the invite and for having us and giving us a little platform this morning. As Breck said, my name is Tyler DeMars. I'm the Bismarck Center Director for our North Dakota Small Business Development Centers. At the SBDC, we provide no-cost business advising to entrepreneurs and small businesses across the state. So today or this morning, I just want to go through some of the challenges, common challenges we see with our clients, ways that we support them, and some resources that are out there for entrepreneurs and small business owners in the state. So I guess I'll start with just a little background on me. Like I said, Tyler DeMars is my name, originally from Minot, so I'm a NODAC kid, born and raised, but have been in been in Bismarck here since 2011. So full Bismarckian now, but a UMary alum, so got both my bachelor's degree and MBA from the University of Mary. And I've done business and economic development since about 2011. So I've been at this for over 10 years now, and love the work, love the people I get to meet in this line of work, such as Breck, and excited to share some content and hopefully some good insights with you this morning. So,
excellent.
I guess with that, let's just dive in, huh?
Definitely. Let's roll.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, so just a little bit about the small business landscape in North Dakota. So in North Dakota, we have over 75,000 small businesses. And this is from the statistic of U.S. business with the U.S. Census Tract. The SBA definition of a small business is any business with under 500 employees. So we think of a business with 50 employees. To some people, that might not feel very small, but that's the definition that we use at the SBDC, given to us by the Small Business Administration. So almost 99%, 98.8% of businesses in North Dakota qualify or are defined as small businesses. So pretty much almost every business in North Dakota. Almost 200,000 small business employees in the state, and 55.7% of North Dakota employees are employed by a small business. So it is a significant, very significant part of our economy here in North Dakota. This map we're looking at here shows density of small businesses. So the darker the county there, the higher the percentage of businesses in that county are defined as small businesses. So we can see a lot of dark blue on this map. A lot of our rural areas, of course, the economies are very driven by the small business environment. So when you think small business, it's consequential. This is a very significant part of our economy. I guess expanding on that, when we look at GDP, gross domestic product contributions, corporations, so those businesses with over 500 employees, account for 54% of GDP. Small business is right there with them at 46%, almost half of all GDP. New private sector jobs. This is one of the most interesting things to me, is that almost all net new job growth is driven by small business job growth. That on the corporate side or the big business side, obviously we value those employers. They are anchors in our economies. But there's a lot of churn in those positions and in how they hire and how they work with their teams. Where you look at net job growth, a lot of that is driven by business startups, by small business. And then furthermore, we can see percentage of jobs across the country. 70% of all jobs are small businesses, are hired by small businesses, and 30% are with corporations. So again, when you think small business, there's nothing small about it. This is a huge part of our economy. Thinking about how your dollars, whether you're as a consumer, whether you're supporting small business or bigger businesses, you hear lots of shop local campaigns, and that's a drumbeat in every community. Well, this is the reason why. So for every $100 spent at a chain or nationwide chain store, 15% of those $100 stay in your local economy. On the flip side of that, spending at locally owned small businesses, for every $100 you spend, $45 stays in the economy. So having more local employees, working with other small business and business to business vendors, all those pieces equate to that extra $30 stay in your local economy. So when you hear shop local, this is why, is it keeps dollars circulating within the economy, and it's not extracting wealth out of your local community. So yeah, that's consequential there too. And don't get me wrong, as a family of with 4 kids in the house, I love me a good Costco run, but there are pros and cons to that.
Oh yeah.
All right, so some of the challenges that our clients see and across the country with our different SBDC networks that we're seeing. So in spite of hard work put in by entrepreneurs and small business owners to make their business succeed, roughly 1/2 fail within 5 years of opening. So that's the success rate that we see, is 1 in 2 businesses make it to that 5-year birthday. It's been estimated that 65% of entrepreneurs and small business owners use credit cards to help finance their business, and only half of those are company cards. They're often personal credit cards or personal loans, or having to take second mortgages out on their home to cash flow the business. And I think if there's one thing you could take from this presentation, it's as a small business owner, you have to understand the financial model of your business. You have to understand your cash cycle and your cash flows. Obviously, all businesses, when the business fails, it fails because it runs out of money, it runs out of cash. But there's a number of reasons that drive that. One of the biggest ones is that from the get-go, that business owner, that entrepreneur, didn't understand the cash cycle or the cash model, the cash flow of the business. And that's something that we can help with at the SBDC, and we'll get into that a little more later. But so yeah, according to new research, the number 1 challenge that small businesses face is competition from larger businesses, even outpacing other challenges like poor sales, cash flow, and regulation. So I guess here in Bismarck, we recently had a heartbreaking closure. Our locally owned Bismarck Community Food Co-op shut down after being open for 6 years. And this is a project that got off the ground in 2013 with a feasibility study. It opened in 2016. The feasibility study, the big takeaways from that was this business can succeed under a few conditions. One of those conditions was no new competition. And within 18 months of our food co-op opening up, we had Costco open up in town, and then a large organic chain, Natural Grocers, open up in town. And with each one of those openings, the food co-op took a big dip in sales and just couldn't compete with those larger businesses and the purchasing contracts they have. And so there's a specific example of one of our beloved local businesses shutting down because they couldn't compete in that environment. But and we love Costco in town. Costco is a great business to have here. Natural Grocers runs a really good business, so I don't mean to demonize those businesses. It's just that's part of the landscape we're dealing with. So how do we help ensure that small businesses start and remain viable and successful? Well, by providing the right business climate. And I think where we fit into that at the SBDC is including that business advising and access to capital. That's probably the two. If there's one thing that we do for our clients that really moves the needle, it's helping with understanding their financial models and helping them put together capital stacks and access financing. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. But good news is that help is available here at the SBDC. So who are we? The North Dakota Small Business Development Center is a partnership between the federal government, actually the Bank of North Dakota now. Sorry, this slide is a little dated. Our state matching partner was our Commerce Department, but I'm here at the Bank of North Dakota. That's where I office, and as of this legislative cycle, they are our new local match partner here. So that's a great partnership for us to have. For those that don't know, the Bank of North Dakota is the only state-owned bank in the country. It's a financial institution owned by the state of North Dakota, and an incredible, successful, and valuable asset for North Dakota. And the North Dakota University System is another partner. We're actually housed at UND, at the University of North Dakota, and Grand Forks is our lead center. So we provide training and technical assistance to entrepreneurs and small businesses across the state. A good deal of information can be found at ndsbdc.org. That's our website and kind of your funnel. The first thing to do if you want to access service from us is go to that ndsbdc.org and register for services. That'll get you a client account and get you in our queue to connect with an advisor. So because some of the kind of areas we think into with our clients, runs the whole gamut from business plan construction, revision, financial analysis we talked about, capital need, understanding what is your need for capital and how many dollars do you need to get this business off the ground, connecting you with lending partners, could be commercial banks, could be our regional development councils, could be outfits like CDFIs, like Dakota Business Lending, folks here at the Bank of North Dakota. For being a fairly conservative state politically, we have a lot of great publicly funded business incentive programs. So that's a nice balance that North Dakota has, is understanding the value of small business. There's a lot of programs out there that if you have a concept that has promise and you're showing you're willing to put in the work, typically there's a way we can get it funded. We just we got to go through the right process. Now that's what we're here to guide you through. So marketing and sales assistance, we do help with marketing plans and assist you with understanding what your target market is, what the revenue potential is, things like that. Business research, we'll talk about some of the tools we have to help with some of that market research. Procurement, contracting, and certification. So when we're talking about procurement, we're talking about government contracting. So doing business with the government, especially for our Native entrepreneurs. There are set-asides within that contracting space where most government departments and contracting officers have to allocate or are incentivized to allocate a certain percentage of their contract to minority or Native entrepreneurs. So if you have a business that has procurement potential, we have our Apex Accelerator program. That's the program that helps specifically with that. Business startup and registration, or what we call startup logistics. So that's any place where you have to interface with the North Dakota Secretary of State's office. We can be a thinking partner in that, making sure you're in line with our Secretary of State and not getting in trouble there. Operations management, human resources, imports, exports, these are all things we can help you with. If we're a thinking partner in a lot of these, I think there's three areas where we really drive the most value. One is market research, that as you're getting a business off the ground, you're trying to determine, hey, what's the potential here? How many customers can I possibly have here? What can I have in revenue in 3 years? That's you're kind of pulling numbers out of thin air. We have some tools to actually do some market research and do some financial benchmarking to help with that, especially if you're going to a lender, an investor. When you're saying, hey, I can hit $1 million in sales in 3 years, they're going to want to see some data and some things to back that up. And that's something we can help with, is help you kind of refine and validate those revenue projections. So market research is one. We talked about financial analysis, and financial modeling is a big part of what we do. Help you understand what are the cash needs and what does the cash cycle look like for your business. And then the third one that we've gotten into recently with the baby boomer generation working towards retirement, and a lot of business sales going on right now, actually people selling their businesses, is exit and succession planning. So how do you value a business? How do you negotiate a fair sell price? We're doing a lot of work in that space right now. And whether you're older and you're looking to, hey, do I need to get ready to sell this business, or you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're not sure what you want to get into, there's a lot of businesses that are going to be up for sale and already are right now, and that's something we can help you with too. All right, so first, one of the tools we use, and we're really grateful for our North Dakota Secretary of State's office here in North Dakota. They have this business services page, which is a really good resource for any small business in the state. Whether you need to register a legal entity, whether you need to know what kind of licenses or permits are relevant for your industry, sales and use tax permitting, copyright work, patent work, any IP protection you're doing. This is a really good resource, and we lean on this quite a bit. I have this web page up on my computer all the time, talking through it with clients. So we want to make sure that you have all the boxes checked that you need to in this space. And this is a really good resource for that. So I just Google it's ndsos.gov and then go to business services, but you can just Google that too, and it'll take you right here. This link, especially how to start a business in North Dakota, this actually has some business planning resources, some financial management resources. That's a really nice tool that we use quite a bit as well. So this would be inevitably, if somebody's coming to us for a first session, we always send this to, hey, go look through this, see what questions come up for you, and then if there are questions, that's when we want to talk through those with you to get you the right answers and make sure you're getting the right information, getting the right paperwork filed and with our Secretary of State. All right, so we talked about business planning and kind of about how we work with our clients is the area where we get most hands-on, as we mentioned, is the financial modeling. Well, we're actually building financial pro formas, financial projections for our clients, and we guide them and act as a thinking partner, and then putting the business plan narrative together. So that's the narrative. That's actually word or written document that shows, hey, here's where all these numbers in the financial projection are coming from. A couple different tools we use to do that. This first one is the simplest one and probably the one I like the best. It's just a one-page business model canvas. Each one of these boxes represents just a different component or a different area to think into with the business plan. And we send this to every one of our clients as soon as they register for services. It's a great spot to expose blind spots, or hey, where are there areas of this business model I haven't thought into yet? And then for us in our first sessions, like our time is best spent if our clients come with some specific questions on things they want to address. This is a great tool for, hey, what questions do I need to get answered, or where do I need guidance? So whether you have a mentor you work with, or you're looking for direction from us, I'd recommend going through this and just getting ideas out of your head and onto paper. And this can kind of help you prompt you into what areas you need to be thinking into. So we have this, that's a PDF, and you can print it out and handwrite it, or we also have a Word document where all of this is just in a Word document. You can type as much as you need to. So this is a really good tool we use, this one-page business model canvas. Another one that we use, this online platform called Live Plan. So this is a website. It's an online business planning software. And we have a number of licenses. So I think it's, if you were to go get this on your own and subscribe to it, I think it's $13 a month. We have a number of licenses that we've purchased from LivePlan, and we lend them out to our clients for a 6-month period as they're working through an initial business plan. So another nice value add that we can give to you for free is a LivePlan account for 6 months, and it does similar to what that business model canvas is doing, a little more comprehensive and in a web-based platform where it'll walk you through, here's all the pieces of the business plan that you need. One part that I really like with this is the financial forecasting piece. It'll walk you through, hey, here's all the numbers you need to gather, and you plug them right in. It'll generate some really nice reports and graphics and charts for you to use if you're pitching to a lender and investor. The other nice piece in there is once you have your initial forecast done, you can do scenario analysis within that, where you're pulling different levers on that initial forecast to say, all right, if I raise my pricing by this much, here's what it does for cash flow. All right, if I'm able to get a discount with this vendor and reduce my cost of goods, here's what it does for cash flow. If I'm going to lease this space and my rent is this much, my occupancy expense is this much, here's what it does. Or if I purchase a building, and now my debt service on that mortgage is this much, this is how that affects cash flow. And that's just a really nice piece for you to have. We do that as well with our business, with our financial forecasting. But ours, unfortunately, our spreadsheet is proprietary. So there's a lot of back and forth where we have to actually adjust the numbers for you and then send it back. This allows you to do that in real time on your own. And then, of course, we can review it and work with you on that. So LivePlan is a really nice resource that we use quite a bit as well.
Amazing. That is a cool feature, a cool app. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's
Definitely.
For business geeks like me, it's just fun to dig in there and start just playing with some of those levers you can use and do some scenario analysis. So
it's gotta inspire these entrepreneurs, to tweak it and play around, because a lot of people that come through our doors, I know I got to put a business plan together, and they just kind of sleepwalk their way through it. But being that this is so interactive, it kind of gets the juices flowing. And I mean, for me, I would be, as an entrepreneur too, wow, to be able to play around with the numbers and scenarios and things of that nature. That's a new one for me. I like that, Tyler.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, well, absolutely. I think one thing that it does too is I think one of the values we provide, or Breck, you probably do at the Native American Development Center too, is just accountability, right? Like be moving the process forward. I think if entrepreneurs tend to be idea people, and they can just get stuck in ideation and analysis. And I, don't get me wrong, I love a good spreadsheet, and I'm guilty of that too. It just gets stuck in playing with numbers. But I think it kind of pushes you and makes you biased towards action and actually moving the project forward, which is really important. That you got to be taking action forward.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we talked a little bit too about business research, and so these are some databases that we subscribe to. So Vertical IQ, BizMiner, and Industrious CFO are the ones we use the most. And these are basically business intelligence is what these organizations do. They gather financial benchmarks, market research, market trends, industry trends. You can do like industrial CFO, for instance, you can enter your like 6 months of P&Ls and they'll do an analysis for you. All right, here's how you compare to your peer group in your industry based on these financial benchmarks. When we talk about how do we validate with lenders or investors what we're putting in our business plan, in our financial model, these are really powerful tools that we can access for our clients and run queries for them and pull some really good business intelligence to inform, hey, here's what a reasonable sales projection would look like. Here's what your peers are doing for cost of goods, variable costs. Here's what for a bar and grill of 4,000 square feet, here's what a labor budget should look like if you're within a reasonable range for a labor budget. So just a lot of good intelligence we can pull from these different databases, and especially when you're going to a lender and they're asking tough questions, if they're looking to fund a project for you, it's really nice to have good, detailed, data-driven answers for those tough questions. All right, so that business research piece is important, and what that what all of this informs for us is the financial modeling piece. So when we work through a financial model with our clients, there's generally 4 pieces to it. The first is a startup budget. Then we work through a revenue projection, and then we work through variable and fixed expenses. So as we talked about variable expenses, they vary as your sales go up and down. So as your sales go up, your variable expenses go up. As they go down, they're going to go down. Your fixed expenses, those are expenses you're paying the same amount, whether you're selling 1 widget or 1,000 widgets. Those stay fixed every month. So for variable expenses, the biggest ones are labor and cost of goods sold. So those are the 2 ones we're looking at there. And then fixed expenses, it really depends on the concept. What applies, but the first thing we're going to look at is the startup budget here, and this is a use of funds page where this is a $3.4 million project. I can't remember. I think this one was a pretty good sized restaurant where they were constructing a business. So you have land purchase, you have construction costs, you have fixtures and renovations that go in there, a lot of equipment and machinery that'll be part of that. I think they had a smoker trailer that went with this one. That's what that one's coming from. Some intangible assets. This could be pre-opening marketing. This could be attorney's fees, architect fees, professional fees that need to get done for the startup. And then needed repairs. I apologize. I can't remember what that was, but one thing is this working capital number is something that, as we work through the financial model, this is a number that we're trying to determine what is an appropriate amount of working capital we have on hand, right? So we'll go through that startup budget, and we usually leave this blank until we've worked through the rest of the model. Okay, so we'll go through. Here's our startup budget. We think we have approximately a $3 million project. We'll look at what the debt service will be on that. So if you have a $3 million project, we start with an assumption that you're going to have to bring 20 to 25% to the table. So for a $3 million project, that'd be about $600,000 in cash that you or investors are going to have to bring to secure $2.4 million in financing. Okay, so we'll work that in there. There are some programs that we can use to bring that cash requirement down. Sometimes we can get that as low as 10% if we're using like the North Dakota Opportunity Fund or the SBA 504 program, the SBA 7A program. Those come in and kind of reduce the liability or reduce the risk for the primary lender and bring that cash requirement down. But depending on the concept, there's different programs we can use there. So that would be like when we talk about how we help access capital, putting together those capital stacks and whatever that capital mix looks like is what we and really our lending partners, our resource partners in the lending space help our clients do. So first we're going to work through the startup budget and what that capital stack could look like, where those dollars are coming from. Next, we're going to work through the revenue and variable and fixed expenses. So here we have cost of goods sold coming out. Here we have our labor budget, insurance for the team, some consulting fees, all these different fixed expenses that are coming out of here. And this is where that market research really comes in handy is, sure, you look at a page like this, there's a lot of detail there. where are those numbers coming from? So between our knowledge of working with thousands of clients a year and those databases, we can usually get these nailed down really accurately with a little work and a little research. So we have all these expenses coming out. And here's our principal loan payment, interest on the loan. The end takeaway on this is here's our sales, and we've done a sales projection coming in of total cash received. Here's all our cash paid. So this change in cash month to month is the biggest takeaway we get out of the financial modeling exercise, is we want to know under reasonable assumptions, when do you hit positive cash flow? So in this concept, we get there by month 7 here. We see a good sales bump and get there by month 7, okay? But what we need to know is, okay, so we lose another 34,000, we're losing about $150,000 here before we hit positive cash flow. So we either want to have, this is our beginning cash balance here. We want to have a number here that can float that and subsidize those months of negative cash flow, right? And that's where a lot of startups go wrong, is they have no idea what to have in this working capital number from day one. And it's, unless you go through that detailed financial modeling exercise, it's difficult to know. So that's, I think, a real value we provide for our clients, and we're pretty good at it. This wouldn't necessarily have to be cash in the bank day one, but you want some cash in the bank, and then I would say a line of credit secured so you can do drawdowns as needed. If you outperform this and get to positive cash flow by month 5, fantastic. Let's leave that cash and that line of credit available to you, but we're not paying interest on it if we don't have to. So this is the, we go through that very detailed exercise of financial modeling for us and for lenders. This is the big takeaway. This is the biggest value of that, is what does this month-to-month cash flow look like under these reasonable assumptions that are well researched. All right, so that's our work. I wanted to talk a little bit about our impacts and kind of how we measure our success. So these are the 4 biggest ones that we talk about: is new businesses created, jobs supported, unique clients served, and hours of service that we provide, and then total capital infusion or total business investment that we help our clients secure. So these are 2022 impacts. We helped create 100 new businesses, over 4,000 jobs supported in this labor market, where we're not looking to create jobs as much as we are looking to fill jobs now. This metric is not weighted as much for us anymore. In fact, new regs came out where they are taking this out completely in this labor environment, where we're not looking to create more jobs. We're looking to fill jobs. So this one is going to be as weighted for us. Over 2,000 clients served in 2022. I think in 2023 we are trending towards 2,500 clients that will help this year. And in 2022, we had over $106 million in capital infusion. So those are dollars invested in projects that we helped with. So again, when you think small business, these aren't small numbers we're looking at. This is significant investment across our state.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, the best way to access our services is ndsbdc.org. Click on I am a business owner, I want to start a business, and it'll take you to the registration page where you can register for services. We mentioned we don't charge for anything we do, so we provide no cost service. But of course, we do collect data from our clients. Demographic data you'd see with any federal program, and then you'll get surveys from us to collect. When you start a business, if you have a capital impact and invested some dollars in your business, that's information we want to know, to 1, to measure our success, and 2, to report to our funders to show that we're being good stewards of the dollars they provide. So that's all we ask in return for our services, that you reply and are responsive to those different surveys we send out. We work with a number of different resource partners across the state. This is just Bank of North Dakota here in Bismarck is a big resource partner. All the different CDCs across the state, those are kind of secondary lending organizations. The Department of Commerce here in the state, ED&D, Women's Business Center, Apex Accelerator we mentioned, others like the Native American Development Center. We work hand in hand with Breck and your team over there. But there's a number of different organizations and resources across the state that we work with. And I think it's another big part of what we do is just connect you with resources, help you find the right person to talk to, help you find the right program to help your business. There's some things we can't help with, but we usually know somebody who can, and that's just resourcefulness. I think is probably the most critical element in running a successful business or being a successful entrepreneur is how resourceful you can be. Okay, with that, I think that's all the content I wanted to work through. And Breck, if we want to have a discussion about anything, we sure can.
Yeah, well, amazing. Thank you for the information. I've learned a few things myself, so I'll probably be circling back around to visit with you a little more. But definitely, from my part over here at the NADC, we're a small micro, lender. We're not an official native CDFI. I know that is one of our long range goals to eventually get there. We're partnered up with Awista. We get a lot of our funds from them and report out to them. So, but we do have a micro enterprise loan that we have access to. And when I get a potential client walking through the door, I go through the check down, the interview process with them, just try to feel them out and find out what do they know about this? I've got this idea. I want to do this or that, and find out how much they're serious and how much they've researched it. And of course, I whip out the North Dakota Small Business Development Center resource guide. I give them that PDF. I tell them that's their small business Bible. Definitely read it cover to cover so that you have a broad understanding of doing small business in North Dakota. And I drop your name. Definitely. I say you need to contact Tyler and visit with him. I kind of soften them up or try to educate them as much as I can, give them the reality of being an entrepreneur. This isn't one of those deals where you can just start a business and hand the reins over to whoever you've hired and just, collect the checks and the money. No, you've got to be fully engaged as an entrepreneur with this business. And you put in long hours. Are you ready for that? Is it going to affect your family? Quite possibly. So there's all of these different factors that aspiring entrepreneurs have. I've got an idea. I want to do this and that, but I just try to kind of turn the light bulb on for them about all of the realities of being a small business person. And like you said, a lot of them, I mean, it is amazing that one statistic, that glaring statistic, about half of them are gone within 5 years. I have to say, my favorite donut shop up north here, I don't know what happened to them. One day went up there and there was a sign on the door that was their last week, and it sounded like it was a labor shortage. I mean, anything can happen, and they're gone. And it's unfortunate, with the co-op on the south side of town there, going 6 years, applaud them for that. But you're right, there's so many conditions, environmental conditions that they've got to deal with, competition, labor. Maybe Tyler, you could just talk a little bit about this, because when you go into stores, a lot of them, they've got to sign up. They're short. They're desperate for help. What is going on in regards to that? Because that is a big deal. What are you seeing, talking to entrepreneurs or some of the bigger businesses in around town here? What do they mean when they say they're short? Well, you'd think that we're North Dakota, we're hard workers, we've got plenty of manpower around here. How are they not?
Yeah, it's everybody. This is kind of the mystery we're dealing with right now. I mean, anecdotally, a bizarre experience that from my household is my son, who is 16 and applying for jobs for the first time. He applied for 15 jobs and got one call back from 15, fast food places that are saying they're short on help, retail outlets. He did end up doing some landscaping work for a landscaper. But he had to know somebody at Walmart, is where he ended up working, is where he's working now, and he enjoys it. But 15 applications, got one call back. So that to me was, all right, are we really short on help, or are we not focused on developing our teams and making this a priority? And I think that the other part that kind of segue into another issue is culture. I think that people want, or especially young folks, they want to enjoy where they work. They want to be part of something. They don't want to just go punch in, punch out, collect a paycheck, and don't feel like they're valued and like they're contributing to something and part of a team. So I think for small businesses that are struggling, that is where I would focus attention. Is all right. Do we need to do a culture audit? And it doesn't have to be anything super formal, but ask some questions, right? Listen to your employees. What do you like about working here? What do you not like? What motivates you? Because we look at like Mackenzie River Pizza shut down on the north end, Johnny Carino shut down on the north end, and for staffing issues, right? And I'm not saying I don't mean to make any judgments on what kind of culture they had there, but I look at that, and then we have lots of businesses, lots of restaurants in town that are doing just fine with staffing and have no issues keeping people and keep the whole dining room open. And my feeling there is that's a culture issue, that some places people feel valued and they want to work at, and it's not just a place to come punch a clock. In other places, they struggle with that a little more. But
do you think it's part of the millennial phenomenon too? These young kids coming up, their whole train of thought. I've got a few of them myself, my kids.
yeah,
And their whole aspect on life and business, jobs is different. It seems
absolutely.
foreign to us, in our generation.
Yeah, and I think I think it absolutely is, and we have to be, as small business owners, as professionals, as mentors to young people, we have to be careful not to judge that. Like, be honest with young folks, but I think we have to embrace it, because what you hear is the kids are lazy now and they don't want to work, and I can tell you I have two teenagers. I have three teenagers now. They want to work. They're not lazy, but they want to feel part of something. They want to feel more than just I'm going to punch a clock and get a paycheck. And I think that's the missed opportunity, or that's what we're not connecting yet.
I see. And I can understand and relate to that. I've got a 19-year-old daughter and she's out there right now, and I can hear some of the things you're saying ring true here. Definitely. They want to be a part of something. They want to feel important and be heard.
No, like if my son hears this, he might get mad at me, but that's fine. He's used to me talking about him. But he's working at Walmart, and he'll catch flack from his buddies. They'll make fun of him because he's working at Walmart, right? But guess he's his first job. Guess what Walmart hired him at? $18 an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's for a first job, no experience, and he's making $18 an hour at Walmart, right? And he's even like, he wants to work on a golf course, I think, next spring, but that pays like 12 to 14 an hour. But that's a sacrifice he's willing to make, because he'll think that he enjoys that more, and his buddies won't make fun of him for it. But
I like what you presented on the the research, the resources, and all of that. And I think one of the biggest things I try to impress on the clients that I get walking through the door is the marketing aspect of it. It's not one of these where you build it and they will come. I mean, you had better get your ducks in a row. You better know what is out there in the environment where you want to put your business strategically. And what do you say to that? In terms of the marketing, the key. That's one thing that I do harp on with my clients is you better know if you got customers. Have you talked to people? Have you talked to potential competitors? What are they seeing out there? Things of that nature. So, but I really do like what you've got. Wow, in terms of the tools there.
Yeah. So full disclosure, marketing is not my specialty for sure. I know a lot of people that are smart in that space, and I tend to refer my clients to them. But I'm a numbers guy. I'm always biased towards the numbers. So where we usually go with that is breaking down that revenue projection into this days that the business is open. How many people do we need walking through the door? How much do we need each person to spend to hit that number where we're at positive cash flow, right? So for instance, if it's a bar and grill that's opening up, and we have 3,000 square feet, the dining room is going to be 2,000 square feet of that, and the capacity is, I don't know, 150 people, right? And we know that in any given, the month where we hit positive cash flow, let's say we have $150,000 in sales, right? Okay, so then we know we need about 37,500 a week, okay? All right, let's break that down by a day. So that divided by 7, we need about 6,500, 6,200 or so a day to hit that break-even point. All right, so if we have looking at our menu, and we're serving booze too, and beer and wine. So we think our average guest check or average amount each person is going to spend is $18. All right. Well, now we know we need, I don't know, is that 300 people or so every day to come? And so we got to turn our dining room over fully at least once or twice every day. So then we know, all right, we need this many people coming in our establishment every day. How do we reach? What does a marketing plan look like that reaches the number of people that we need to get those people in the door every day? And of course, there's a lot more that goes into it. In what kind of brand do you have? How much personality does the business have? Are you competing on price? Are you competing on a premium product? Are you competing on, you want people to have an emotional attachment to this? Like one of my favorite places in town is the Laughing Sun Brewery, and Mike and his team there have done such a good job with that. It feels like a third space in the community, right? Like
it's electric. It is.
Yeah,
You walk in
absolutely.
there and you want to be there.
Yes, and they have like it's good. The music is great. The food is great.
Yep.
You can tell the team is taken care of because they're providing positive energy. And it like Mike, yeah, they've absolutely crushed it with the Laughing Sun, and that, I think that has all the elements you need of a good brand. Everybody recognizes that Laughing Sun logo. Good product. The beer and drink is good. The food is good. Good environment, and they have a marketing plan that works very well for them. So they put all those elements together really well, and that I don't know, that's a good example to look like, I'd say.
Oh yeah. Oh, they could teach a few seminars, I bet.
Absolutely.
The culture there.
Yeah.
The culture there, definitely. I always feel welcome there. My family, whenever we've gone there, we've always felt welcome. And yeah, they're spot on. Definitely spot on. So here's another one for you. And I know you're out there too. We're both, you go shopping, you go here or you go there, you go to different stores and whatever, restaurants, et cetera. What do you say to these, or what do you think about some of these businesses that have odd hours? I mean, they're restaurants, maybe, that have really odd hours. And to me, I'm like, how do they pay the rent? They're just open just these sparse hours a day and a week. How are they doing it? And then, well, then you find out down the road, sometimes they're gone,
Right.
I don't know how you can.
Yeah. I don't what the business that comes to mind for me when you say that. I don't think they have sparse hours, but the Walrus in the Northbrook Mall. Great restaurant. They serve beer and wine too. The food's phenomenal, but they're in a pretty small space. Like I bet that dining room only holds about 100 people. And I think I think Jill. Yeah, Jill is the owner there, and you're limiting supply to drive up demand in some ways, right? When it works, I think that's part of it. Like if a business says we're not going to be open for lunch except for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Or we're going to close down Sunday completely. What they're doing is they're driving up demand for those hours that they are open, because people know if it works, that's part of it, is you're limiting the supply of your product. And when there's lower supply, if it's a good product, that's going to drive up demand. And one, you're going to have busier times when you are open. And two, you could be able to, if you're providing a good product, you should be able to charge a little premium on it too. So I think when that's done right, that's what it's doing. The flip side of that, if they're having cash flow issues and they're having to limit hours because they can't staff it, or they don't have money to pay for inventory coming in, that's a much different situation, and they're probably in need of some real help. But
so labor key, and then like you said too, is it something that people want, so you've like they're like the Walrus, there's a definitely, and then Laughing Sun too, people enjoy those kinds of places. I found a little secret. This business has been around for 47 years, Country House Deli, and I didn't really, it's just a little hole in the wall, but I went in there the other day at lunch. Boy, was there a line, and I learned, okay, if you want to eat here, you better probably show up much earlier than you did. Don't show up right at noon. Forget that, so, but I see that they're screaming for help. I said they have a big want ad for help there. So, but I don't know what their staffing's like or what it looks like, but they seem to be busy. Their tables were already full, and I didn't see much staff So and there's another one too. They're closed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So like, wow. But
Yeah,
maybe that is just part of their strategy, and maybe part of it is a staffing issue too. If they got more help, maybe
right.
they would.
Right. Well, and
So,
just because they're closed doesn't mean they aren't working, right? They might be doing prep work for the next day, or they might doing
yep.
catering gigs from
Hmm.
2 in the afternoon to 10 at night, right?
Right, right.
But it's funny you bring that one up, Brett, because I had the exact same experience. I was here for 8 years before I even knew they existed, and they have phenomenal food. Yes, it's so good.
Hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. We managed to snag a lunch here the other day, and yeah, we'll probably be going back.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
So, um,
Um,
real quick too, from your presentation, who is for the Bismarck Center? What's your service area? Who do you,
yeah, good question. So I'll go back to that map if we still have this up.
because I
So
know
here's
that, yeah, you've
yeah,
got,
so yeah,
offices
we
all
go
over.
right, as far north as Underwood and Mercer and McLean County here. Hazen and Beulah are in there. Down to Standing Rock. I go down to I partner with Strength and ND, and we do some training at Sitting Bull College down in Fort Yates, and then over here um, to the east as well. So this is my region is kind of south central North Dakota. So
Okay,
um,
okay.
it's a one, we're a one-person operation as most of with the exception of Fargo, who has an additional advisor, just because they're not
Mhm.
only the biggest geographically, but the most population too. And Paul Smith and Chris Irwin doing an awesome job out of our Fargo center. But all of our centers are one-person operations, besides with the exception of Fargo. So it's when you're providing something of value for free, you tend to get a lot of volume, and that's probably our biggest challenge is bandwidth. And how do we, at any given time, right now I think I have 80 to 90 active clients, and
Okay.
that's not people I'm meeting with every month, but at least once a quarter right now. And
Mhm.
part I think our challenge is getting them to an informed decision point, right? So we don't tell somebody whether they have a good idea or a bad idea. We want them to make an informed decision on whether to move it forward or not. And that's trying to work with them to get to that informed decision point is really our kind of what our goal is. And looking at those impacts we provide, I'm going to segue into something else. I know this wasn't the question you asked, but one of the big values, or something that I'd like us to find a way to measure, is helping people kind of reduce the cost of failure. So when we say failure, it's not that we started a business and it failed. It's we did the analysis, we did the feasibility analysis, and decided we're not going to move forward with this because it doesn't look feasible. But
Mhm.
now we have another idea, or we're going to
Right.
iterate and pivot in another direction, and it might be your second or third concept that you eventually get out of the ground, but you didn't put money into a concept that wasn't going to work or wasn't feasible right away. So we reduce the cost of learning the lessons there, so you can get to your second or third idea. But
We're on the same page, Tyler. That's one of the things too that I stress to my clients when they call in or they stop in here is, if you just have one revenue stream that you're fully reliant on, boy, you may want to rethink it. If you're just I just want to
yeah,
sell this one widget, this is all I want to do. Um, Boy, oh boy, I don't know. I tell them you've got to have additional revenue streams, especially, to pay the rent,
right,
pay
yep,
the man. You've got to have additional revenue streams. So don't just pigeonhole yourself into that one thing. You've got to be able to what's out there, what's in your
yeah,
environment. And there may be additional things in your particular line of business that you've never even thought of. So, case out your competition. What are they doing? What are they not doing? You have to have a strategic edge. You've got to think of it like a
yeah,
football game almost, where, you're out there and you've got to be competitive.
yeah. Well, if
Competition,
you're
is out there.
right.
So, yep.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be dependent on one or two revenue streams, one or two products or services you're providing, they better be darn good, right?
Yep.
Like you
Yep.
really have to make sure it's something
Hmm.
exceptional in the marketplace, and there aren't easy substitutes. I mean, you look at Dots Pretzels, one of the biggest entrepreneurial success stories in North Dakota's history.
Yeah.
What did Dots do? They had one really really good product that was phenomenal, and I think $1.2 billion was the sale price to, gosh, was it Hershey's? I can't remember the big company that bought them out, but they
Oh,
sold that
yeah.
for 1.2 billion. But and that's an example of, if you're really good and they have phenomenal
Yep.
pretzels, that could
Mhm.
work. But if if you're just kind of competing in a space where there's lots of substitutes for your product, and that's not a bad thing, but absolutely you better have some diversified revenue streams, because you're always going to have customer churn in that space where customers are going to go for other
Oh,
products.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's tons of different pretzels you can pick from, and but they're there in the forefront. You cannot help but notice dots. It's all over,
yeah,
So
yeah, no,
so it's
it's such a cool
definitely,
story. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah. It's, oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So Tyler, um, can you give us any? I mean, have you had any like really fascinating or like unique or original, entrepreneurs or concepts that have come through your door, your office you want to share with us? Anything like, wow, I've never thought of that before, or out of left field? Have you ever had any of
Um,
that?
there's I used to work at the SBDC. We do a lot of Main Street businesses, and we do some innovative businesses and product base as well. But it's a lot of brick and mortar, right? Which that's
Mhm.
kind of our where our bread is buttered. But I used to be part of the Innovate ND program through Commerce, and I coached through that program. And there's one out there that's in just went through their first round of funding called PaveWise. Bryce Worry is the entrepreneur on that one, and Bryce is in the asphalt industry, and he developed a software platform that does a real-time analysis of the environment that you're paving in. So he's with asphalt pavers, and he developed a software platform that's taking wind measurements, humidity, does gauges the soil, all these different variables that affect the quality of the pave. And what they're seeing is when that software is used, those roads are going to get like a 20 to 40% boost in how long they'll last. So what this is going to save for
Wow.
our Department of Transportation is huge. And Bryce just went through, he did an initial just grassroots round of funding. He just went through a more significant round of funding and got, I think, $1.5 million invested in this to do a launch. They've been beta testing it, and that's a really cool concept, I think, and a successful one. But yeah, I mean, we see like anglers and farmers that are tooling around their shops and coming up with things. So like, there's a couple different fishing concepts that have come out of. One is a floating tackle box. It's called Crank Canvas or Raptor Roll. It originally came out as Crank Canvas. Now it's called Raptor Roll. So you can be fishing in your nice boat, or if you're fishing on a kayak, especially, it floats beside you and it rolls out. That's kind of a simpler but Ken Keytor is that entrepreneur's name, and he's doing well with it. They're selling, and he's making a solid income off it. So, trying to think of what some other ones that we've had. I guess those are the first two that come to mind, and especially in product development, it's rarely your first idea that goes to market and makes money.
Mhm.
It's usually the second or third or fourth idea. So when we look at that Innovating ND program, that's a real value of that, is just doing the product cycle or product development learning to get you to the second or third or fourth idea that's really going to work and go to market. But
Amazing. And I remember seeing that on LinkedIn. I think I saw your name. You must have liked it or something, and that one popped up on my feed there. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at that.
Yeah. Well, and
Definitely.
Bryce, if you're looking for a spot to learn more, so I know you're familiar with the program, Breck, but 1 Million Cups is a program I recommend
Mhm.
for all entrepreneurs. So 1 Million
Oh
Cups
yeah.
is a networking and educational event. Takes place every Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. at Dakota Stage Theater in downtown Bismarck. It's also live streamed on 1 Million Cups Bismarck and Mandan is the Facebook page. And Bryce and his wife recently presented PaveWise at 1 Million Cups. I think it was 3 weeks ago, and that's archived on that Facebook page if you want to learn more about it. But for any entrepreneur that's looking to start a business, or you have a business going, 1 Million Cups is a great program. Some of the best people I've met in Bismarck and Mandan I've met as part of that event. So I highly recommend it.
Excellent. Excellent. Yep, definitely. So to a lot of our future viewers here, to our little podcast today, our aspiring native entrepreneurs out there, by all means, give me a call. I'm going to sit down and visit with you. We're going to go over that resource guide. We're going to talk about business plans. We're going to talk about everything under the sun with your small business concept. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you someone's name, and that name is Mr. Tyler DeMars here. Tyler's got awesome resources available to him. And when he gets done with you, we've got a micro enterprise loan here. If it fits what your need is, up to 20,000, 5,000 minimum, up to 20,000 for a micro enterprise loan. We do deal with a lot of people coming through here, mostly the small pickup and shovel guy or the small business kind of micro enterprise stuff. And maybe down the road here, eventually we'll graduate up to some larger capability or capacity for our business loans down the road here. So, but in the meantime, definitely, if you have any questions, give us a call, or Mr. Tyler DeMars over at the North Dakota SBDC here at the Bismarck office. What's your, give us some contact information, phone number.
Yeah,
We're going to give you a call.
Phone number for me is 701-595-1259. I should have had that on this last slide here, but and then my email is tyler.demars@und.edu. So yeah, we're a program of the University of North Dakota, so we're all UND employees. But and then at ndsbdc.org. If you get a hold of me and want to access services, that'll be the first place I send you to register. So that'd be the big takeaway, or the big contact takeaway, is that ndsbdc.org is the best spot to get started.
Okay. Any other little parting shots before we wrap it up here? I think, wow, you covered a lot of ground, Tyler.
No,
awesome.
Again, Breck, thank you. I think that's the last thing. I just appreciate, we've known each other for a number of years now, and appreciate the partnership with you and your team over there at the Native American Development Center. And yeah, let's do this again in a couple months, maybe.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, Tyler, again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time presenting to us today, and we'll get this podcast out there on our platforms and let everyone share the gospel, spread the word about the North Dakota Small Business Development Center, one of our most critical strategic partners over here at the Native American Development Center. With that, we'll wrap it up today, and thank you again, Tyler. Everybody out there in internet world, podcast world, whatever, thank you for viewing this today, and we'll have another one coming up here before too long. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Appreciate it, Breck.
All right, thank you, Tyler.